And we are live on YouTube. The connection is a bit slow until it properly sets up. Hello to our friends. We are today with Angela Durrant on teaching us how to be more visible in business. Talk about an amazing way to start the week. Oh my goodness, right after Easter, many of you have celebrated Easter. I hope you had an amazing time with your families. And now it's time to get back to business and learn some great new skills from our wonderful guest. So we are all set for YouTube. Now on Instagram. My husband sometimes says, okay, you are live everywhere. You only need to do Facebook Live too. I mean, that would be too much. In four streams, it would definitely be too much. I'll stop here. Okay. Checking the connection. And we are live on Instagram as well. Hello to everyone. You can see my wonderful guest here, Angela Durrant. By the way, Angela, you are here on a bigger screen so people can see you better because the laptop is tiny. And we are going to talk today about how to be more visible in business. It's going to be an amazing, exciting talk. I have been very privileged to have Angela guide me and a few more other people in a great Zoom talk. It has been fantastic. She has this ability to give you all of the answers in a few minutes because she's so giving. She has even transformed a lady's business. You have added an extra zero to her to one of her offers. You didn't plan to help her that much in a few minutes, and that was amazing as well. So stay tuned with us. This is going to be wonderful. Now, if that's okay with you, Angela, I'm going to start the actual Spotify polished sound recording because social media is just for fun. We are more serious on Spotify. Okay. And we are going to start the actual recording in 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 40. Join the Visible Club with Angela Durrant. Angela Durrant has worked for many years as one of Wales' top vocal and performance coaches. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have an artist with us today. She has spent the last few years developing a system called Visible to help her non-singing clients present and speak with confidence, presence, and power. Talk about an amazing, inspiring way to be more visible in business. During the pandemic, the Visible Club was born to help service based solopreneurs build sustainable businesses online as well as offline. Welcome, Angela. It's such a pleasure and a privilege to have you here with us today.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. It's lovely. Thank you.
Angela, can you please start by telling us what was your initial idea behind the Visible Club? How did your story begin?
Oh gosh, have you got a couple of hours on that one? Let's do the shorter version for you. Well, I think I had been used to pivoting my business without actually realizing I was pivoting. I think it came to light in the pandemic when everybody had to pivot online, whether they had been an offline business and resisting it, or whether they were trying to get themselves online. They had to pivot, and that doesn't mean building an online business only. It just meant pivoting their skills, turning things around, and creating a different level of business for themselves in this new hybrid world as we have now got it, really. But the story sort of goes back a little bit further for me. I started a vocal coaching studio in 2008, so a long time ago now. And the first 3 years of that, I saw quick growth in that. I had a flair for visibility. I think the first day that I decided to open my coaching studio, sat down at a desk and I just thought, well, you know what? It doesn't matter whether I'm good or whether I'm bad. If nobody knows that I exist, then they can't come to me and they can't work for me. So I had an innate understanding that we needed some level of visibility out in the world. Trying to find that, even at that point, wasn't particularly easy. I think I put adverts in the local paper and got some flyers out, and zilch. And that was at the start of sort of social media. I worked out pretty quickly that if I was able to be found online, then people could come and spend some time with me, find out if I was the right fit for them, etc. And my business grew very quickly. Then in 2012, my husband had kidney cancer, and we basically had 6 weeks to save his life. And I had to pivot again. And it was at that point that I realised how innocently I'd started off my business. It was all based around me, my skills, which was fine. I was working to be a specialised voice coach at the time. But I realised something that took many years to actually come to bear, which is that if I didn't have a business model that could grow with me, that could actually mean that I could leave my business, or that I could use my skills in a variety of ways without having to be chained to my business 24/7, then I would basically have created another job for myself and a hamster wheel 24/7. Now, roll on a few years later, that truth was still in there. And in 2017, I'm skipping a lot of details. In 2017, I started to get the opportunity to work around business people and speaking, whereas previously I'd only worked around musicians and voice, etc. And I suddenly had a big opportunity land on my desk in 2017, and that was to work with 27 senior leaders in the Ministry of Defence. Talk about zero to hero, as it were, from my dining room to the Defence Academy is basically where it went. But I had been honing those skills for obviously many, many years. And in that moment, I recognised that a new pivot was needed. And that was my first business pivot, which was going from working 30 hours a week for the same price as I was suddenly working for one day and earning the same amount of money. And that was the first identity pivot that I needed to make in the business. A couple of years later, I had created a successful training company. And then we found ourselves in the pandemic. And it wasn't just about the pandemic that made business model and service-based business ideas kind of throw it all into the water. Is that, again, my husband became quite ill just before the pandemic, and I suddenly had to go online, and I had built an offline-only business, as many, many people had done. And suddenly there I was online. But because I'd got a system, a process, and I was able to turn that into a course at the time and run it live, I was able to make that initial pivot from being solely offline to starting to work more online with people. And that then opened up a whole new opportunity base. Suddenly the world is locked down, and I sat down, like many others, reflecting on what on earth we're going to do, because we didn't know at the time where the world was going to go. And I thought, this is the time that you have to now create a scalable business model, or something that actually supports people, that supports you and supports other people to do the same. The reason why the V.I.S.I.B.L.E Club was birthed in its essence was to actually support that solopreneur journey from startup to scalability. Because particularly if you are a wellbeing expert, a coach, a consultant that has either operated offline previously, there are online opportunities now. You may not want to give up both sides of that, but we can actually use all of your skills, all of your abilities to create a business model that works around you and your life, and not you being chained to your business 24/7, never able to take a holiday, never taking a day off. And we can actually look at creating your own expert status and having a sustainable income and a life and a business that you actually enjoy, rather than feeling that all you do is worry if you can pay the bills from one month to the next. So that's why I started the V.I.S.I.B.L.E Club, to actually to form that group to support solopreneurs, because we choose to be on our own. We choose to go out there with all of that sort of entrepreneurial spirit, to have time freedom and business freedom. But if we're not careful, there's a lot of noise online. There's a lot of everybody telling you what to do. And if you haven't got a good group of people around you and some strategy around you, it can be really, really easy to get caught up in the weeds, to start isolating yourself and to get stuck and never realise the potential that you or your business actually has in this new world, I think. So, bit of a, hopefully it wasn't a too longer answer for you.
It's wonderful, and thank you for sharing your story. Angela, oh my goodness. Talk about pivoting several times. You had to adapt because of your husband's condition, because of the pandemic as well. And you are very adaptable, as I see that you are very curious and very courageous to try on new things. What would you say that the number one skill that you have has helped you to break through it all, to go with all this change?
That's a really good question. I had seen how many times I'd had to pivot, as it were. Never really thought about the adaptability behind it. But here's what I think is what is behind it. I think first and foremost, I do have a big curiosity around the entrepreneurial journey. There is a big difference between an employee mindset and an entrepreneur mindset. Many people get caught up from one to another, particularly if they've had a job that they didn't have to sell in that job. They might have been in HR or some other management or leadership, or in a job that really nothing stopped, the buck didn't stop with them, kind of thing. You know, they were able to go and do that job and walk home with a paycheck month after month after month. When you work for yourself, you do not have that luxury. So when my clients say, I just want to replace my income, I just want a sustainable income. Well, first of all, before we can create the systems and the processes and the expert status where you can make an impact and have that working, we have to get used to the transition of being able to go out and create opportunities for yourself. And that level of creativity, I think being a musician in the past, being able to have to go out and create a performance night after night, or create your own work, you do get used to the level of creativity and curiosity needed to bring new things to life. So I will say that that is one of the things that I really encourage people to do, is start to craft and follow their own nose and their own curiosity. Something that gets in the way of that, particularly for people now, is the need to be right first time. If we have the need to be right first time, we're going to wait, we're going to worry, we're going to look at everybody else and what they're doing, and actually you'll find that you can't find your own voice and your own level of authenticity. So there's some level of confidence and courage to simply believe that there is a way for you, and creatively you can follow your nose and your own intuition, as well as some good practice, to start that opportunity to create your own opportunities. If we have to try and get it right first time, we're never going to get off the ground to start with. It's fail fast, fail forward, and stay humble and teachable, that actually there is a way for you. That no quit attitude. I did not have an opportunity to quit. I'm the main breadwinner in the family. So I think sometimes I'll get as much resistance as anybody else. There'll be times when I could just probably bang my head against the wall how many times I find an excuse not to do something. So, but it's recognising that. When you recognise it, it's getting back on track, and it's allowing yourself to, what I say, be kind, but not the kind that leads to excuses, because just get back on the horse. Go again. Nobody is actually looking at you and worrying about what you're doing more than you are. So that's my initial advice. I think the thing is, for me, I have to make it work. I choose to make it work. Nobody else is responsible for my success, as much as I would love to blame them and everything else for when things don't work. But if we just take that responsibility without worrying quite so much if we've got it right first time and what people think of us, we will start to find our own pathway. And I think that is really important, to finding your own voice, really, and your own message behind it.
Wow, I'm so grateful you said that. We can't have it right for the first time that we do something. It's really impossible. It's very difficult to see that you have this perfect journey that you set up in your mind. But I usually encourage people to don't keep something and not be open to anything that may arise. As you said, that in 2017 you had this amazing opportunity to go from one thing to something completely different, something big that has launched your business so nicely. And it's amazing how we sometimes think that mistakes are wrong. Mistakes do make us feel awful. Failing is not the most fun thing ever. However, there is so much lesson to have when you just start to observe, okay, what happened? As you say, go back on the horse, do it again, test something new. And I always say, okay, I'm actually failing every day. I'm learning. I'm also testing all sorts of strategies. I have a baby that keeps me most of the times up all night, and I may be tired. However, when I think, okay, I did this mistake yesterday. Now, today, I know what not to do again. This is also a great way, right, Angela? If you did something wrong, well, the next time you're going to do this, you won't have the same thing done all over again.
I think one of the biggest things that we are innocently surrounded by is information. Now, you can Google anything. You could Google how to start a business, how to get more visible, how to put a webinar together, how to sell. You can go on YouTube, you can Google absolutely anything. But you're going to come across a massive variety of opinions on what those how-tos are. So there's absolutely all of that information is out there, but you and I both know it can be conflicting, it can be confusing, and nobody wants to, deep down, waste an awful lot of time on trial and error, which is why we tend to watch different webinars, buy into different courses, etc., consume rather than create, as I like to call it. We innocently end up consuming more and more information in an attempt to try and create a level of certainty on the inside of us that what we then are going to do is going to work. Because we get caught up in our own thinking that because we know it as a concept, we just listened to somebody's YouTube video, we've taken a course, we've listened to a video, etc. Now the mind is tricking you. The mind thinks that it now knows what to do because it's listened to it. Here's the big problem. If it's not experiential in your life, i.e. you've not taken that information, you've not put it into practice, you've not gone through some of the iterations, that's why I always say business is a spiral and it's not a step-by-step. The only thing that's probably step-by-step is how to put a zip in, how to make a cake, something where there's levels of practical things. Here's the reason why business is not necessarily a step-by-step. It's because we don't actually know when we put a certain message out or we try a certain thing, how and who is going to respond for a while, if at all. If the biggest internet marketers and the biggest business people out there are already sitting in masterminds themselves looking at, well, that used to work and that doesn't work anymore, and how are we going to get that to work? Then even they know that strategies have to change, methods have to change. The thing that's most important, regardless of the ability to pivot, is having a message that really you can stand by and that actually appeals to a certain type of person that you know that you can help, or that your product or your service is most destined for, as it were. Because then when that match happens, it doesn't matter which method you use. In other words, all pathways can work, but you've got to work the pathway until it works. And I think that's the biggest thing that I see with my clients, is they are overwhelmed with consuming, and there's an idea that their mind understands what it is that they need to do, but deep down they're not doing it. And so of course they get stuck at the beginning, or a piece of tech, or an idea between a milestone, because there's sometimes, say for instance a course says, put your course together, now email your audience. Well, if you haven't got an audience, that can be anything from 3 months to 3 years to build that milestone out. it's not step by step. There's one spiral, and then there's the next, and then there's the next, and then there's the next, as it were. And it's that level of willingness to get in there and take action and work it out that it is so incredibly vital to making anything a success.
I am beyond grateful that you said this, because let me tell you how many times I've heard from young entrepreneurs, and I was there too: online hoarding, free content. You are so right. You get thousands and thousands of free ebooks, free courses, free ebooks, free webinars that are awesome. They are great. You get nice points, but you need to implement, and then you start, and then you find something new. Then there's this shiny object syndrome. And I think that it's a pattern here, Angela, because everyone that I spoke with had this tendency to listen to that person, then you listen to the other one, then, oh, but what if, but, and then, as you said, you need to decide and at one point and stop the online hoarding. Angela, I had, I think, a few hundred ebooks 4 years ago. They were appealing, they were nice, they had interesting questions. I thought, oh, I don't have time to look at this today, but next week, I'm going to check this out. And my mind got so crowded, and I had a job. I didn't have a business. I'm so glad that you said this a few minutes ago. You're falling into this trap. Okay, you are working for yourself, but you end up working double or triple the time, the effort, the energy, and no money. At least when you were employed, you know that you knew that you had a payment at the end of the month. So this is very vital. This is vital that you said this, and I just want to have a reminder to our friends watching us online. Make sure you have a pen and a piece of paper, as I have. I'm taking some notes because this is so helpful and so interesting, Angela. Thank you for sharing this with us. You also mentioned that obviously there's a difference between the employee mindset and the entrepreneur mindset. Was this a difficult journey for you? How would you say that it all got to be related to fear? How did you see fear at the beginning?
Well, I think it still is. I don't think it stops. I think there's just levels to this because, what makes, I don't know, what makes somebody being able to have the courage to go in month after month not knowing where their income is coming from to, at the start to having a regular income. That's a huge leap in the mind. And then, potentially changing markets, changing offers, letting go of doing one thing and something another. So it's a shift in identity, first of all, so I think it's almost a misnomer to call it a mindset. It is a mindset, but I think at a fundamental level, we are choosing to be and act differently than we have before in order to have and do and go to somewhere different. It's that beautiful Einstein quote, you cannot solve a problem with the same level of thinking that created it, and what got you here is not going to get you there. So I think we have to live. I don't mean live with fear. I mean live with the fact that there is an illusion to certainty. Even if you have a job, you can't be certain 100% that you're not going to make redundant, that something's not going to happen to interfere with that, etc. We do not have jobs for life anymore. Very rarely are we got jobs for life. Things change and things move on. And in an entrepreneur mindset, you get to understand that certainty is an illusion. Now, what we want is stability, but even stability can be an illusion, because when people say to me, Angela, I just want to make back the same income, I go, that's great. But if you want that forever, then you're wanting another job. You're wanting to create something out of the wrong kind of fear of loss. And I think I have it's not my phrase, but it's you have to play the game to win, not keep playing the game trying not to lose more. So the difference, first of all, I would say, is if somebody is in a job and they are wanting to transition, then we have to look at a transition plan. Very few people can go cold turkey. There are some people. I've learned to go a bit cold turkey now, but not completely. There are things, I think it's, you've either got to have some money in the bank to cope with the transition period of time, because you actually don't know how long that transition is going to take you to get it working. But when you've got pressure on yourself, or you put an undue amount of pressure on yourself to make that transition without a backup plan, for a lot of people in that start-off phase, they're going to find that too pressured, too much fear, and that's what gets them stuck. Once you've got it going a little bit, you're going to find that you are probably in a bit of a seesaw. The income is up, the income is down. Now, if somebody had said to me a few years ago, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of fear in terms of not knowing what's going on. Fear can be a different motivator for different people. For some people, it can be a stretch. They see that there is a need, and they go out there and they start to create what they need. It's maybe what I used to call a stretch rather than a stretcher case. If fear becomes a stretcher case, you paralyze yourself. If you give yourself too much to do in too little time, there's not enough income coming in, you don't know what to do, it's what I call, it floors you. It's like a stretcher case. And so it's about managing risk. So you will never get rid of the sort of fear that the next leap is going to require from you. My old grandma used to say to me, Angela, a new level, a new devil kind of thing. You are going to, whenever you take a new leap in your business, a new idea, something that you want to branch out into, it's going to feel like an expansion. Now, I think the difference is I would just like to say that there is a difference between doing things out of fear, as in fear of missing out, pressure from a coach or a course to try and take a big leap, put your big girl pants on or your big boy pants on. I want to say the difference between that and proper evolution of growth, which does not have, it might be a little risky, it might feel a new thing for you, but you'll feel like you're ready for it. And there's a big difference, because I've been through both. And I think if I can identify both of those for people listening, they might be able to make better decision making and not buy things or do things that are that they later regret, that buyer's remorse, etc., or that fear that they took the wrong leap at the wrong time. So when you are watching other people's marketing, and we all have things. So you mentioned about the ebooks, etc. There's nothing wrong with an ebook. They can be very valuable. Sometimes you can find a nugget in there. But recognise that ebook is designed to draw you into the world of the person that is giving you that ebook. They want to know, if this resonates with you, do you want more? And there's nothing wrong with that in and of itself. If what it does, though, if we take it and we look at the next phase and we go, well, how hard can it be? And we buy in, or we get sucked into something that, without the discernment to know where we are and our business and what's going to be right for us, we can end up buying the wrong thing at the wrong time, and creating a level of fear in ourselves that we feel behind everybody else. We suddenly realise that it wasn't the right thing. Somebody doesn't need to scale with webinars if they haven't yet really established a client base, because we're not at the place sometimes to be able to scale. So there is some misinformation out there when people say this is suitable for you if you're just starting out. Possibly not. We've got to really have some discernment out there. So number one, if you feel a sense of pressure to buy, if you feel that sense of, I must or else, then I would like you to question that. It's a bit suspect, okay? It's coming from the wrong kind of energy. Here's how to know if you are ready, or what you are ready for, to take that next level. And that's going to maybe, it could still feel a bit scary, but it won't feel as daunting, okay? Is you recognise, you're starting to feel a bit frustrated where you are. It's like a pot that's outgrown itself. New roots need to go elsewhere, a new branch needs to come up, and we need a little bit more space. We need a new challenge, a new stretch to take us there. Now, that's a very different. You're still going to feel a bit scared. You're still going to feel a bit sort of in uncertainty. But the difference is it's a feeling of evolution. You have come around one spiral and you are ready to go around the next. Now, this is different. Now you're in place where you can actually start to look and go, is this person's course the right thing? Is this person's material going to help me at the next level that I'm trying to get to in my business? Rather than just buying into just about everything known to man, or gathering information, thinking that if I've got the information, I've got the plan. Neither could be further from the truth, but there is a difference in the fear or in the energy that we're using that actually moves us through that spiral. So I hope that makes sense, but fear does not go away. But you can actually turn it into where it is that next challenge or that next excitement that allows you to master your next level and do it with the right people in the right way, using your own creativity and following, hopefully, your own business model and your own business plan at the same time. Does that make sense? I hope so.
It makes all the sense. And now I wrote some things down, and I was actually thinking how interesting our mindset is, Angela, because we do want stability, we do want this comfort zone, but at the same time, we are curious. We need to grow. And every single time, this paradigm ends up in us just wanting to do more because curiosity prevails. And creativity, as you say, this is going to lead the way. Business is indeed a spiral. It's not a recipe, it's not a cake, as you said. And we simply need to use discernment to really see what is the best path, the best strategy for us. And since you said this amazing thing that illusion, that certainty is an illusion, stability is an illusion. This is so powerful. Knowing that, would it be wise to say that the willingness to adapt, adaptability, should be one of the top skills, if not the number one skill to deal with when needing to make all these changes? What do you think about this?
I wish I'd have understood this sooner, but that's life, isn't it? I think life gives us the lessons, and we're very slow sometimes on the uptake. Generally, because of our own sense of insecurity, our need for certainty. It's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We both need adventure and stability. We want challenge, and then we want to stay safe at the same time. And we've got this dichotomy as human beings going on all the time. So what I noticed is that for me, my own life, it took a while, but my own life circumstances were, as somebody described, she said, Angela, think about your life circumstances as being on your way to the thing that you're trying to bring, the life you're trying to create, or the desires in your heart, or the business you're wanting to do, whatever it is. I think it's all the same thing, really, in some ways. But think of it as on your way, not in your way. And that blew my mind, because I had spent a good few years really imagining that my personal circumstances were preventing me from being successful. It's a very innocent bit of a mindset to go into, but it really cost me. It cost me sleepless nights. It cost me opportunity. It cost me courage, because if we're going to blame something else, we can't then look for the opportunity or the gift with the gold within the mud, as it were. We can't see what we need to see in the moment. We're missing the truth of it. And it was a long time afterwards. I have to say, I was in a couple of programs, one year, where all of the women started to leave their partners. It was like I'd joined the divorce club. I was thinking, hang on a minute, do I need to leave my partner to suddenly get a 6-figure business or a 7-figure business? And there's something that just didn't ring true for me. If I'd have been following everybody else's way of doing things, I'd have ended up, without my marriage, without my, the life that God. And actually, I realised that this wasn't the case. It's that if we blame a circumstance, we can just throw the baby out with the bathwater. at some point, probably, and it still hits me now, that's why I said it's an ongoing journey, the entrepreneurial journey, overcoming fear or embracing risk, as it were, at different levels. But I think somewhere in the last couple of years, and particularly in the last year when, well, actually, I nearly lost my husband twice to cancer treatment. And in that moment, when you are facing actually that somebody's potential death is going to be no more difficult than living with what we've got to live with, and having a business and growing that business. Something in me sat back and thought, you know what, Angela, you can't keep urgently trying to run away from your problems, hoping that if you can get the business in place fast enough that it will all be okay, or if you can sort of, get this course or that course or put all these things in place and suddenly the money will flow in. If you just stopping all of that nonsense for a minute, you sit down and you go, hang on a minute, I am navigating challenging circumstances. And maybe many people listening to this have personal health problems, they've got young children, they might be dealing with elderly family, they have a job, they're trying to start a business. We are dealing with lots of complex situations outside of anything new that we're trying to bring into the world of business. And if we have to try and to make it one or the other, we can really spend a long time in the weeds, going flip-flopping between the fact that we can't do this because of that, etc. And that's one of the key phrases I hear all the time. I can't do this unless I do that first. I can't do this because of that. As soon as we've got that language going on, it's a big red herring that we are blaming a certain situation, or we're trying to think that something needs to be better before something else can happen. Now, there might need, we can't send an email letter out to 500 unless we've got an email system to do it. So, of course, there are some things that do need to be in place, but they're systems and processes, if that makes sense. They're systems and processes rather than I need to change my life before I can start. Now, when we're stuck, I think it's a great opportunity to move the furniture around and to change things around, to get fresh perspective. But I was making it very different. I was getting stuck at the time because I thought that my situation was preventing my success, when actually what it was really doing was life was providing an invitation to me to change the way I was working, the way I was approaching things, and redefine how I was going to create more business success or more personal satisfaction in my life under the current circumstances, not without them. That was a massive shift for me personally, simply because it stopped me futurizing, imagining that the future was going to be better than the now. If I could just get this in place, then that would be better. So it stopped me trying to run away from the now. And it also stopped me running away from the changes that I had to personally make. Well, I couldn't keep over-delivering. I couldn't keep going over time. I couldn't keep doing it all one-to-one. I couldn't keep doing it the way I was doing it if I kept continually blaming the situations. So whatever situation you personally find yourself in, I can guarantee you it's on your way. It's not in your way. And it gives you an opportunity to actually step back and go, well, how do I make this work more efficiently within the current time frame or situation that I've got? And then you sit quietly and you wait, because a creative idea, a new thought will come to you. And that will enable you to trust your own intuition and your own judgment as to how to start to make changes and to navigate risk and to navigate evolution, even in the midst of your current situations, without having to divorce your husband, your wife, sort of get rid of your children to babysitters all the time if necessary. My business has grown over a 14-year period, and I started off with a couple of hours a day when my daughter was at nursery, and I grew a business around that. And it's now only when she's 15 that I'm able to spend more hours, grow the business in a different way, take advantage of other opportunities. And actually, I'm really grateful that I didn't have what I call those 6 figures in 6 minutes getting all of that success without the character to be able to keep it, without the skills and the expertise to be able to handle it at that level, is not going to help you. So being good at what you do is absolutely what's going to create the foundational platform that you can build on with systems and processes as your life allows you those opportunities. So I'm very much in favour of being on the way, not in the way, as your circumstances. I hope that's what I have personally found, because I didn't want to divorce my husband. I love my children. I feel very purposeful in my business. I want to serve my clients well. And I somehow had to kind of ask the question, what if none of those were truly in conflict with each other? If they're not in conflict, how am I going to navigate the next stage in my life and business?
This is so beautiful. On your way, not in your way. You chose a lifestyle, which many of us at first, Angela, I think that we don't see the importance of it. We can't have the business being a lifestyle because it's not. You end up working so much for what at the end of the day? Because you lose so much time and precious moments with your family. And I always think that it's vital to get help. I cannot stress this enough. People like you, Angela, are making the difference, are shortening people's stresses with years, 1 or 2 or 3 years. As you said, why test? Why do it all? Ebooks are great, as you said. I love them too. But you need someone that can really hold your hand and take you on this spiraling journey, because at first it'll be fluctuating, but then when you have the proper guidance, the proper knowledge to lift you up, that is when you can consider yourself successful, whatever success means to you. That's why, my fearless friends, I always advise that we take a closer look to someone that has already taken the journey, someone that is a mentor, someone that is there where you want to go. And it's very relieving, Angela, to know that if I come to you, you give me all the strategy, you help me clear my mind, you give me the exact steps. Well, there are no exact steps, but you know what I mean. You are going to give me that strategy to follow. And I wanted to ask you, Angela, what does truly inspire you? What would you say that truly lights a spark in you?
Well, let me tell you a story, a very quick one, as to what truly inspires me. One of the members of the V.I.S.I.B.L.E Club, and we like to do things a little differently. When people come into the V.I.S.I.B.L.E Club, we actually don't give them a bunch of things to watch. Actually, myself and my business partner, Anka, who's the techie of the two of us, as it were, we sit down with each new member and we help them to flesh out the business that they want to create, not the one that they think they should create. And then we actually put the strategy to make more impact around the thing that they want to create. And we show them how to do that within a 12-month period. And what really lights me up is when I now see certain videos from one of our members on Instagram and Facebook. And the reason it lights me up is because this lady had bought several courses before she met me. In fact, she'd been trying to get her business up and running for 20 years. She had health challenges and she had a family. And she was a mime artist. And so she was a very offline skill before things like the pandemic. In fact, she did not know even how to actually take mime online or to do anything with it. She didn't know how to get her passion business working for her. And when we had a conversation before she came into the V.I.S.I.B.L.E Club, she said, well, Angela, I think I'm going to wait. I'm not going to come in. I'm going to finish off this copywriting course. And then I'm going to see if I can get a few copywriting clients. And then I'll think about joining you after Christmas. And I just went really quiet. And I went, why are you going to spend 3 months building a business that you don't want to create when you can actually start straight away using your copywriting skills to create the business you do want to create? And she hadn't thought of it? Well, roll on probably about 4 months now, and this lady has earned her first money in her business that she wants, creating online workshops, doing it online. She's now excitedly creating things around video that nobody told her to create. There was a sense of growth, a sense of possibility for her. And she's now showing up, creating opportunity for herself. And I remember celebrating with her in the group in one of our strategy sessions, where she said, I've made my first money online. I'm a proper business. That really lights me up, because she could be still hanging out silently on Facebook groups, just watching what everybody else is doing. And she came in and we held her feet to the fire a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't sort of force her, but we said, we're going to have a challenge of you creating your first workshop, your first business opportunity, and getting up and running. And that's one thing that really lights me up, is to be able to celebrate somebody else's personal success, that they actually overcame everything that was in their way to actually get that first thing up and running. And then all the way through to people that are suddenly taking their next business evolution. They've gone from one-to-one to creating a managed service, and now are virtually about to put their first sort of virtual assistant and other scalable businesses in there. So it's irrelevant the stage of business, but you have to have the willingness to settle down and start to actually put the things in place that are going to make the difference. That's what lights me up. It's somebody. It doesn't matter what's gone on before, but there is a level of shall we say, of readiness and of willingness to actually go, I'm going to do this. I'm going to commit. And then that's what lights me up, because as soon as we've made that one commitment, it's the key to having anything.
Thank you for sharing this. I've written so many things down. I have so many questions. And I've been thinking, okay, what to ask Angela, because I could go on listening to you for hours, for days. You are a remarkable speaker, and I'm enjoying this talk so much. Can you please tell us about the V.I.S.I.B.L.E Club? What is going on there?
Yes, it is. That V.I.S.I.B.L.E Club, it's support. If you're a service-based business owner, if you've been in business 12 months to 3 years, or if you're starting your business, or if you try to put things in place, and you're willing to actually get that business up and running and do so in a sustainable way within a 12-month period, the V.I.S.I.B.L.E Club is something that could be really right for you. As I said, we actually turn things on its head. When we start with somebody in the V.I.S.I.B.L.E Club, we sit with them and we really define what it is that they do want to grow, what type of business they want to create, and what sort of situation that they are in their own family, and what's going to be the right level of income and sustainability for them. So we do the numbers, we sit down there and we unpack it all within a 2 to 3 hour period when somebody first comes in. And then what we basically do is we support them for the rest of the next 12 months to actually create what it is that they want to create. We have the opportunity to have monthly goal setting. We have weekly strategy, what I call CEO sessions, so that you can learn to be the CEO of your business. And we do then bring in also guest experts as and when we need that, because, if we're looking at certain sort of areas of expertise, it's really good to bring somebody in. So we've had somebody teach everybody how to do graphics on Canva, right the way through to how to create a launch sequence with a webinar, etc. Or even about we've got things on video, etc., as well as sales and how to actually do that and get your message right. So we're looking at end-to-end support for the solopreneur who wants to create a sustainable business that works both online and offline. My great business partner, Anchor, will take care of the tech, as it were, and all those little tech monsters that come up. What do you need? It's so confusing out there. How do you know what you need? So you're not wasting your money or wasting your time, but at the same time, we're not abdicating our business responsibilities to someone else. Sometimes it's really important to just get some elements of foundational things in place so that you can grow a sustainable business. And we're not then just falling for every tactic and every idea in isolation to each other. You can then make better decisions, and you can start to see your expertise grow, and people start to look for you to speak or to do some business with, and it's relative to your clients. Some people shouldn't be on TikTok, and some people should be on TikTok or Instagram or wherever it is. So looking at your visibility plan as to what's actually going to shorten the gap between you and your next paying client, and to create a business foundation and a model that's going to work for you for the long term as well as the short term.
Beautifully said. Oh my goodness. My fearless friends, you know what to do. You are going to find all the details that Angela is so kind to provide us. She has an amazing website where you can find this wonderful presentation, a 40-minute presentation that I myself have enjoyed. You have this wonderful course that I have listened to and I loved putting in practice these nuggets. As you say, you give some fascinating ideas. And I wanted to ask you before we go. Actually, I have two more questions for you. Is there a certain song that you most like, since you are in this artistic side of life?
Oh gosh. Gosh, a certain song. I've got too many in my mind now. I've got too many mind crowding at my mind. Is there a song?
Or maybe let me ask you differently. Would you recommend that we listen to a certain type of music to maybe relax, to deconnect, to get more creative? What do you think?
Oh, well, that's quite interesting actually, because being very eclectic sort of music listener, sometimes I love the ability to just have a lot of silence when I'm in a really creative mode. But other times, I might put some sort of jazz on, or just some chilled out music, etc. I have to say, is I like creating in silence, probably because I spent 30 years as a musician. I don't, especially, but if the music, if I'm trying to do something with words or I'm trying to write something, it's going to have to be probably instrumental music of some description, so that I am not sort of crowded by everybody else's words, and I can channel my own words, as it were. But yeah, I just to kind of say, if you are wanting to check out my work, what you will find is a couple of great things that we're just about literally, we've just redone the website. So you hopefully when you click on it, you will find the new redesigned website, and that will have, if you are stuck with your creativity, there's going to be a short 7-day course which is completely free, and it's called Discover Your Voice, and it's about unlocking that creativity for you. So that is something, if you feel like you just can't work out what you are anymore, you've listened to too many opinions, that would help just to start and kickstart your own creativity. And what you're referring to, Oksana, when you're talking about the actual training, is one of the biggest things that people come to me for is their message isn't landing well from people. It's not cutting through. They're not getting it. It's just being sort of ignored. Is the message matrix and the 5 archetypes of a solopreneur whose message isn't landing. And so we've got a really great training that you can sort of get onto that, as it were. And again, listen to that if you want, with loads of different music all on top of you. I love everything from choral music to heavy rock to jazz. I've been a musician all of my life, but if I was probably gonna sing, I would probably be singing my favourite classical tracks, because that was my initial background. But I will always be somehow listening to music as we're going along.
Angela, you can sing as well. I'm not going to ask you to sing or anything. That's wonderful that you used your creativity. You have pivoted many times to get to this place where you offer people this safety and certainty of being in the right hands to create a life that they love. I think, Angela, at the end of the day, we want to create a life that we truly, truly love, and that we are happy to wake up in the morning and not have sleepless nights because there are so many details running around in our minds. This talk has been tremendous. This has been mind blowing. I could honestly listen to you for days. I've written so many things down. I feel like I didn't even need to ask you anything because you already had such a beautiful, heartfelt message. Can you please tell us where can our audience get in touch with you and enjoy the wonderful freebies that you also offer?
Yeah, so I'll give you some links, but you can get hold of me on LinkedIn. If you look up Angela Durrant on LinkedIn, you can click some links that I'll give to Roxana so she can pop on there. There'll be the website, which is www.thevisibleclub.com, nice and simple. And again, I answer all my emails at the moment because I'm not so high and mighty that I'm a guru that doesn't answer their emails. I love receiving people's emails. So you can contact me directly at angela@thevisibleclub.com. And if you want some advice or some help, or you want just to point in the right direction from where you are, then I can do so for you.
What an honor, Angela. This has really been a mastermind. What I'm going to do is to listen to it again and really have everything written down because this has been tremendous. Thank you for sharing all your wisdom, your wonderful energy, and your very giving soul. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And saying goodbye to our YouTube friends. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for watching. And goodbye to Instagram as well. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Joyan and Mark and Raluca. Thank you for joining us. I'll see you soon. Okay, we have closed Instagram and now closing YouTube. Thank you once again to everyone.